Abe, if you've not met him. He's going to be joining me today. It's Thursday morning. It's like 2 a.m. because Abe works night shift and I have no sleep schedule anymore since this quarantine thing started. So I'm just making a video to kind of share with you as a resource that you might want to use to celebrate Maundy Thursday today in your own home. I thought we would do, since we can't get together and have communion, we can't get together and really celebrate the Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples like we normally do on Maundy Thursday. I thought we would have a little love feast. Now, if you don't know what a love feast is, I'm going to explain it, so don't worry. So, these are strange times. But they aren't the only strange times that United Methodists have had in our history. So in the early days of United Methodism, we kind of had, like I'm talking way back around the Revolutionary War, we had a big clergy shortage. I mean, I think my situation is kind of weird where me and Pastor Jim have to share 3 different churches. But in the early days of American Methodism, you would have one pastor assigned to these huge geographical areas, and they would travel on horseback for sometimes hundreds of miles, going from church to church. And so what this meant was, your church might only get to see your pastor once every few weeks or even every few months. And since in the Methodist Church, only licensed or ordained clergy can oversee communion, this meant that early Methodists didn't get to take communion together very often. And so, while nothing can really replace that real presence of Christ that we have at communion, these early Methodists found another way of joining together at one table to break bread and give thanks to God. And so that was called the love feast. It was a very early Christian practice that the Methodists kind of incorporated into their life in the early days of Methodism. So again, it's not the same as communion, but it's not a sacrament. It doesn't really have that same weight or seriousness, but it did help to hold people together during a time when they could not have regular communion. So now we are in another one of these times in our history where we can't meet together like we want to, where we can't have communion as often as we want to, and so I thought maybe we could do an online love feast. So all you have to do is, if you want to participate, if you can do it, you can do it today, or if you don't get this video in time because you're one of those people who never check your email like me, then you can do it whenever you feel led, whenever you have time. But basically, all you have to do is make a meal, sit down with your family, set the table, and then follow the liturgy that I'm going to send you, where you just kind of give thanks to God. And if you do decide to do this in your home, I think it would be really cool if you took a picture of your food, or maybe wrote down some thoughts, or maybe send me a recipe. Just send me any kind of symbol or commemoration of this event that you celebrated with your family, and I think it'd be really cool if we could take all those and put them together as in maybe a scrapbook or something, as kind of a sign that even though we were apart during this time, we still were able to join together. And so if you want to do that, that's what we're doing. So without further ado, let the love feast commence. So I've set the table. Abe is here, so I'm not just eating alone. I've got tacos, or as I've been calling them, corn tacos, because quarantine, get it? And traditionally, the love feast starts out with a hymn. And so we don't have our great musicians, Elaine and Lois and Donna, unfortunately, here to play and sing to play for us, and we don't have the whole congregation here to sing, so you gotta put up with us too, but we will try our best. So I'm gonna move over to the piano here. Good. So if you want to sing along, if you're doing this at home, you can pick whatever song you want. but we're going to do hymn number 620 in the hymnal, and I'm just going to sing the third verse because I think it's the most relevant for what we've got going on in our world today. But it's hymn number 620, One Bread, One Body. So we'll start here. What? Just turn on my piano first. Mm-hmm. You can move your chair back. All right, thank you for putting up with us. So, the next part of the love feast, after you sing your hymn of choice, is traditionally prayers. And you can use the Lord's Prayer. You can just say kind of a spontaneous prayer if you feel led. But I'm going to use a prayer that John Wesley wrote, and I'm going to send this to you, specifically for love feasts. Abe, would you like to read this?
Yes.
It's right here.
Father of earth and heaven, thy hungry children feed. Thy grace be to our spirits given, that true immortal bread. Grant us in all our race, in Jesus Christ to prove, the sweetness of thy pardoning grace, the manna of thy love. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Abe. So after we have this reading of Scripture, after we have this prayer, we have a reading of Scripture. So it's Maundy Thursday, and if you're wondering what Maundy means, it comes from the Latin word for commandment, and it refers to John chapter 13, when Jesus washes his disciples' feet, and then he says to his disciples, I give to you a new commandment. So commandment, that's the Maundy, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. So that's the scripture reading for today. And now one of the most important parts of the love feast is about sharing testimony and praises. So if you're following along at home or doing this on your own, take this time to share a testimony, something you're thankful for even in these dark, strange, weird times. Or if you live alone, feel free to write it down and you can send it to me or Pastor Jim. You can always give me a call while you're doing this if you want to share with someone or give praise directly to God, whatever you feel led to do. So, Abe, do you have anything that you're thankful for right now?
Yeah, I'm thankful for my cats.
For our cats?
Yeah.
So here's our cats. Here's Meryl. Hi, Meryl.
Yeah, Meryl.
He's thankful for Meryl.
Yeah.
All right. So I prepared a little more fancy because I have a lot to say. But I wanted to give a brief testimony. This is my first year in ministry, and I have wanted to be a pastor my entire life. You can't know how excited I was when I got my first call to Amsden, Shiloh, and High Street United Methodist Church. When, like, for the first time in my life, after wanting this since I was a little kid, I got to be the pastor of not just one, but 3 churches. So when I first found out, Abe can verify, I was bouncing off the walls. And time and time again, you all have proved that I was right to be excited. Over and over again, you have shown the truth of John 13, which is that everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. And then this past week happened. And I don't know about you, but it's been really hard for me. I was just getting the hang of being a pastor in normal times, and now there's this huge curveball that no one could have anticipated. I miss getting to see you. I miss getting to hear your praises and testimonies in person. I miss hearing our musicians play and not having to listen to myself. I miss celebrating Holy Communion together. I miss eating lunch with the Free Store people. I miss all of it. And this online stuff, we do our best and it's better than nothing, but I feel like it's not really the same. But this time of absence where we can't be together really drives home to me how wonderfully blessed I've been this past year to have been in your presence and to have gotten to know such loving, talented, interesting, and Christ-centered people. The Apostle Paul said in his letter to the Philippians, "I give thanks to God every time I think of you, and in all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy." And I say to that, same. So stay safe, because I want to see each and every one of you again as soon as possible. And for all of you, I say praise to God. So that's my testimony, testify before God today. So now we're at the part of the love feast, which is, of course, the food. I've got my corn tacos, and these are getting cold, so I'm going to let you go, and you probably don't want to watch us eat, but I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to go eat. But if you do end up doing your own love feast at home, I would love to see and hear about your experience. So I'm a millennial. I'll probably take some selfies after I turn off this camera, or take some pictures of the food and post it on Facebook. And if you do take a picture or write something or maybe have a copy of the recipe you used, send it to me. And like I said, I kind of want to put something together if I get enough people participating that we can use to commemorate this time. So I'll be here enjoying tacos, and you all enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you for tuning in. So bye.